Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Energy News Beat Daily Stand-Up. This is the weekend weekly recap. We have had a wild week this week. Not only did we have the Saudi and OPEC extending out their production cuts, oil has been going up. It has been absolutely nutty. We've had everything from Bill Gates trying to bury more trees to absolutely all the other stories that we could come up with, and it is a hoot. I like to give a shout out to all of our fans. Subscribe, like, give us questions, and we can't wait to hear from you on anything. We are going to talk to you Sunday with Michael. We're going to release that podcast Monday morning. Have a great weekend. We hope to talk to you soon. New study suggests global warming could mostly be an urban problem. Data matters, and who reads the data? Now, whoever wrote that title has got to be a chowderhead, because, all right.
That seems like a Stu modified title. I'll tell you that much. That seems like a Stu modified title to me.
All right. So when we take a look, it's well known that the cities are warmer than the countryside, right? A lot of cement, a lot of hot air, a lot of politicians, while urban areas are only account for less than 4% of the global land surface. Many of the weather stations used for calculating global temperatures are located in those urban areas. So here we are, and that was some of the other articles we were going to do today, is that climate crisis and climate fear is generated by where the sensors are located at. Oh, that's why it's an urban problem. I thought that was pretty interesting. You sit back and kind of go, oh, well, if you put your meters in the middle of the field where there's nothing bothering it, that's a different than being in the middle of downtown Dallas and you're getting barbecued by all the extra heat waves, right? Huh? Kidneys?
Yeah, kill me. Kill me.
It's the same thing with climate.
That's okay.
It's the same thing with the arson, all the arson. You had Greece had 76 arsons that were arsonists that were
you had to get that in there. I boomed the arson story, so you had to get that in there.
I had to get it in there because it went along with this story. And then there were all of the arsonists in Louisiana, and then in Canada, they're having all of them. And who knows what's going on in Maui, because I have no idea.
Here's my thing.
What's that?
How much money did this study cost, do we think? Do we have any idea how much this study cost, Stu?
No idea, but I think we need to open up a new division.
Yeah, so I mean, you're talking this was dropped on July 19th, 2023, right. Published August 28th, 2023. You've got 23 authors on this thing. You've got 37 researchers, 18 countries. To tell me that where more people are, it's going to be hotter. That's what they came to the conclusion. Stu, me and you could have done that for half the cost. I'm going to not push back a little bit, but say,
I'm going to say 10% for the big guy.
This is why nobody likes the academic community, because they spend millions of dollars for a study to show, well, of course, New York's going to have the cause of more climate than I'm like, duh. The problem is it's the people there think that it's not the, I mean, I get what you're saying, urban density, but of course we're going, what I'm saying is I just, you want to talk about why we're in 9 trillion billion debt? Studies like this.
Exactly.
Now, hopefully the U.S. government didn't fund any of this. Hopefully not. We probably funded worse.
The only way the U.S. government would have funded this is if there was gain of function research in it. Then we would have funded it.
We would have funded it. So, hey, I'm all for. Let's keep doing this. I'm all for basically. I mean, if you've actually read the IPCC's climate change report, for guys for people who don't know, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, puts out yearly reports. It's a UN governing body. And if you've actually read the actual report, you would be much less bullish on climate change or global warming. They're very what they actually say in the report is fairly moderate. What people in government do is It's like telephone. You tell one person, you don't read the thing. One person tells one person that by the time it gets to the politician, it's 7 degrees from Kevin Bacon. I mean, it's all over the place in terms of what people believe. I mean, we've seen, we're all going to die in 10 years. That's not really what it says. So I'm all for studies coming out and saying, even the IPCC could be overestimating what's going on.
There's two other quotes that are critical.
Let's spend our dollars funding something else other than, I'm pretty sure climate change comes from places where people are.
Okay, this name I can pronounce. Dr. Willie Soon, Center for the Environmental Research for Earth and Sciences. For many years, the general public has been assuming that science on climate change is settled. This new study shows that that's not the case. Okay, I could even pronounce his name, so I like. So
you're right. Maybe that's worth the $10 million we spent on this study.
But who's going to read that one line, and then who's going to read the other line in there that I picked up on saying, "Hell, it's because we're taking all the sensors and dropping them into cities in order to say it's climate change."
I'm with you.
And then you have the arsonists that are burning down the place. All right,
we've got a great little segment here. We got a review. So Stu is part of the wonderful podcast He's on 9 podcasts. So one of the 7 things that Stu does. 3 podcasters in a bar, sponsored and hosted by Sandstone Media. We love those folks. You guys got an opportunity to go on C-SPAN. So there's about 80 people that saw it, which was sweet. A few more than watched this, just a few more than watched this podcast. But it was a pretty good segment. For how did they find you? Because we need to walk through this story. How does Stu Turdley end up on C-SPAN?
I don't know that whole thing. It was a bit of RT reached out.
It was an RT.
Yeah. But they had contacted him about the 3 podcasters. Now, the 3 podcasters walk into a bar, RT Trevino and David Blackman. David Blackman is
our favorite random guy on Substack.
He's a random guy on Substack. He is I'm the straight man, and then RT is the EMP operator. So what a mix. And we are having a blast. And so they brought us on to this segment for C-SPAN. Mimi is the host there, and she's phenomenal. Love her. She did a great job. We had callers calling in. It was a 30-minute about David Blackman got to answer questions because his knowledge. Mimi asked David about his expertise on Forbes. It's fantastic. Ask RT about his stuff as an EMP operator. It was phenomenal. And anyway, I got some feedback. I want to hear your feedback.
Well, first, it was cool to see like a straight up news program on TV just do 30 minutes uninterrupted. It's pretty crazy. You can call in, but you call in by party affiliation.
Isn't that great?
So there's like 3 lines. There's the Republican, the Democrat, and the Independent line. Then there's a text line. I tried to call and text. I didn't get in. They answered the phone. I told them my name. They hung up on me. So I don't know what they heard or not, but it was pretty cool. You guys look good. You actually looked good on TV, but you guys mainly talked about energy policy, energy hypocrisy. It was really an opportunity to showcase the 3 of your guys' what expertise, I'm saying quotes, in the energy industry, because what we got to do, Stu, is cover. I mean, some of the tweets that came out of this are absolutely hilarious. I tell people the internet is always undefeated. I called Stu yesterday as I was reading these. We were crying on the phone. So we got the top 6 tweets from Stu's C-SPAN segment. We'll start 6-1. Okay, first up here. This is just number 6. What a waste of a segment. These guys are horrible. Ben Hayes. I agree. These guys are horrible. Number 5. I love this one. First part. I've never heard of any of these podcasters you have on. And it goes on. I bet Tim Pool, Sagar, and I love Breaking Points, which is the Sagar and Crystal. Love those guys. I don't get the rest of it, but I just love. I've never heard of any of these podcasters you have on. Hey, time zone. Me either, by the way. And this is great. This is Stu was talking, and all of a sudden Mary Lou comes in. Now the one right winger is talking or brings up the border. Of course, Stu's got to slip the border in there.
I did, and that was a good because the caller called in and said China is going to take down the grid, and I responded, and there's a bazillion Chinese.
Of course, you got to bring up the border. No, I get it. All right, number 3. Thank you, Washington Journal moderator and crew, for providing the show this morning. Your last segment should have been called 3 podcasters walk into a bar and they were misleading, biased, and unchallenged by a fact checker. Do better in the future. MLB, Stu is misleading. He misleads me all the time. Just kidding. Number 2, this is a play on the title. This is what we got to, these top 2 are what we should rename you got to rename the podcast to. 3 old guys in the oil industry walk into a bar and run up a tab. A great time was had, and they leave at the end of the night without paying the bill. Oh, Dion at Dion Kane 64. I absolutely agree. Jack Wolf responded, why pay their bill? It's mighty large. It's like, oh, the internet's undefeated.
Bidenomics. You go to the bar.
Bidenomics, exactly. Dion, blame Bidenomics. Next up, the winner is Deb Johnson. This one, I'm still crying over this one. Is there somewhere I can go, maybe the Wizard of Oz, to get my, quote, thought leader license, certificate, medal, or whatever designates me official thought leader credentials, ? It quite possibly, oh my goodness. You just got to follow the Yellow Brick Road, Deb, and you at the end of it, you see Stu standing there, pulling the strings. Oh, I was dying.
That's fabulous. But, you know, I want to give a shout out to Mimi. She does a fabulous job out on C-SPAN, and I was very impressed.
Your new nickname is Oz. Your new nickname is Oz.
My new nickname is, instead of Hefe, it's Hefe Oz. My new nickname is Hefe Oz.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So funny. The internet, folks, is undefeated. You can check that out. Washington Journal. You can go to our YouTube channel at Energy Newsbeat. We're going to have all the clips available. We appreciate everybody checking us out.
We're off to the EU and Russia. Several things in here just make it just absolutely wild. Belgium, Spain, and France have become busy designated carriers for importing for the EU. And Netherlands, Greece, Portugal, Finland, Italy, Spain, and Sweden are also listed by Global Witness as current consumers of Russian LNG, and they're based on shipping data appeared from Kepler, an analytics firm. Pretty crazy. Here's some numbers that just made it mind-boggling. The EU is estimated to have bought 52% of all Russians' LNG exports between January and July of this year, and it marks 49% of 2022 and 39% of 2021. This is nuts. That is a lot of LNG. So even though they're not doing the pipeline, they're paying more. And on a podcast just a little while ago, we talked about the price difference of natural gas for the U.S. consumer versus natural gas in the EU. EU is around that $11 mark. And when you talk about the natural gas is $2.30 something right now, somewhere around that range. So the consumers are getting it in the drive-through. So it's one of those kind of things. Unbelievable. Great article. So even though LNG volumes have increased, it's a relatively overall of the total energy is what they're saying. That's not what the other folks have said. So it's kind of interesting on that. Saudi Arabia has put out on Tuesday, said it extended its 1 million barrel per day voluntary oil production cut until the end of the year, according to the state-owned Saudi press agency. Let's see here, see if I can get a good quote. And Saudi Arabia depends on its oil revenues to support several so-called giga projects designed to diversify its economy. I have to always say, I don't always agree with the social humanitarian things going on in Saudi Arabia. I hand it to the Saudi Arabian leadership for their energy policies and taking care of their Saudi first. So you have to admire Saudi Arabia on their energy policies. There would be less wars if everybody followed that. Riyadh had a GDP slowdown, which is a slowdown from 3.8% from the previous quarter and 11.2% in the same period of 2022. So Iran's oil minister, Javad Awi, in the middle of August said that his country was producing as much as 3.19 million barrels per day, despite ongoing U.S. sanctions. Well, you know, when you take a look at Iran, they've gone around the sanctions. Sanctions don't matter. I need to do one thing here. I've got Irina Slav's shirt right over here. Irina Slav, I need to give you a shout out. That sanctions shirt is wonderful. I'll put a picture of it in the show notes. Also, a shout out to Kat Slav from Bulgaria. I got this really cool picture from Kat. Thank you very much, Kat, Irina, and Chris. Thank you guys very much. So, all right. China's influence on oil market grows with BRICS expansion. This one is an interesting read. It's from oil price Simon Watkins. Good guy. I was going to interview him last year, but I had COVID and it made it a little tough to do the interview. I'm trying to get him back on. But when we take a look at China is its geopolitical building blocks or another, it has several others that Simon is bringing up. And it is just unbelievable between the BRICS and roads. You also have the G8, the G20. It is amazing what China is trying to do. China anticipates it will be dominated by the SCO, which is Shanghai 5, that it was set up in 1996. China, Russian, and 3 states of the former USSR, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. Aside from its vast scope, the SCO believes the idea that the practice of the multipolar world, which China anticipates will be dominated by the 2030, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has since stated the Shanghai Corporation organization is working to establish a regional and just world order, as it provides us with a unique opportunity to take part in the process, forming a fundamentally new model of geopolitical integration. All right. So we have the WEF, World Economic Forum. We now have the SCO. We have BRICS. We have the UN. We have the EU. My head's exploding with all the people that are trying to take over the world. And quite honestly, I would think this is more like a Mike Myers film when he was the comedian in I can't even think of the movie, but I know everybody knows what the movie is. In fact, I was just talking to somebody about it the other day. U.S. Offshore Wind Project seeks looser subsidies in the fight for their survival. This is different than the article we talked about for several weeks that projects are being canceled. This one is the components in the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, are actually have several requirements in them to be either built in the United States or assembled in the United States at some percentage, and then also in disproportionately impacted communities, which I love. I think that that's fabulous, but there's not many disproportionately impacted communities offshore. So it just kind of goes without saying that this really is causing some folks some heartburn. You have Norway's Equinor, France's ENGIE, Portugal's EDP Renewables, and trade groups in the U.S. offshore were telling Reuters that they are pressing to rewrite the requirements and warning loss of jobs and investments otherwise. It is unbelievable mess. I like some of the restrictions that are on there, but let's go through some of them. The provisions are key to supporting President Biden's goals to try to reinvigorate U.S. manufacturing jobs through clean energy investments and direct 40% of those to disadvantaged areas. The credits are worth 10% of a project's cost and can be claimed on top of the IRA's base for a 30% credit for renewable energy projects, bringing a total subsidy is almost 50%. That to me is just unbelievable. And then, as I said yesterday, and I've said many times, the lifespan of offshore wind farms, it's not 30 years. It's not 10. It's not 20 years, maybe 10. Fiscally, they become unsolvent after the subsidies run out. And there's a lot of subsidies here in order to get the maintenance done. 8 years is what I found. If you have any other different numbers, please reach out to me. So you can't. I like what Don Hardy is saying. He's the executive of Ørsted's operations in the Americas. You can't put requirements that no one can meet. Well, there's got to be a way for these projects to be able to be self-sufficient and market priced so that they can get into the market and tied into the grid and not cost the consumers a lot of extra money. Offshore wind industry already has looser requirements for claiming the bonus than other sectors, with domestic content to make up just 20% of the costs compared to 40% for solar and onshore wind. So they can't even make the 20% costs. This is why we're seeing some very, very large wind projects being held up. Orders are going to be continued to be pushed out, and that's going to throw China's economy even further down. But I really don't want to support China all that much anymore. Did I say that?